All right, Brandon. The ball's in your court, buddy.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm here to talk about something that I came across some information recently, and I wanted to share it with people. And that is that
I don't think you want to share it with all people.
Yeah, I want to share it with you guys. Actually,
I think there's some people who'll be like, I don't want this shared.
You know what? I'm good.
There's a lot of people who don't want this information shared, I believe.
Like someone's grandchild.
Yeah, that too.
So grandma's not dead? Where is she? Florida. She's just in Florida.
That's all.
Brandon's going to tell us how the Holocaust isn't real.
No. That's not what I'm going to tell you. See, that's a misnomer right there. So I'm not saying that the Holocaust didn't happen.
I misnomer. I'm a Jewish woman that died in the Holocaust. Misnomer.
What I'm saying is I believe that it may have been like 6 million may have been
misnomer.
1987.
38 misnomer.
What are we on the Arsenio Hall?
Runner up.
And these people over here don't believe in the Holocaust. Remember that? The Arsenio Hall show?
Misnomer 1937 third prize. That would be my favorite. She just came in third. Who's in fourth? Ashes.
She was beat out by misconception.
Who's on fourth?
Who was pregnant?
Yep. Her sister, miscarriage, didn't make it today.
She was hanging out with Mr. Carriage.
Yep. And by the way, the one who understands everything, misunderstanding. That's shocking enough that she's there. It was all just a misunderstanding. Right, Brandon? Let's get to it.
That's exactly what it was, I believe. So what it looks like from evidence that I've seen lately is that it was just one of these things where 6 million was a little high of an estimate.
Like the COVID numbers?
Yeah, like the COVID numbers. So it's similar. It's kind of like a psyop. And what had happened was there's a lot of evidence that Hollywood people got involved.
They had to make the box score look good, Dave. Is that what you're saying? They're padding the stats. They're like, listen, you're not going to get a scholarship with 2 million. You better beef up them Jew rebounds.
My cat is like, you can't talk about this right now. He's like, what are you doing? Yeah, so it looks like there's no evidence of gas chambers. They had Zyklon B, but that was used for delousing.
Which is a great SoundCloud rapper.
Yeah, Zyklon B, baby. It's the gas that they said was the gas that killed the prisoners, but it looks like there was only one place there was actually evidence of that. Like people have gone back and looked. And one place where they said it was a gas chamber, it had wooden doors. And there's I'll look up his name in a second, but he was arguing on Phil Donahue. They were just like talking about it, and they were like, well, they just barricaded them. He goes, yeah, but the doors swung in. He's like, how did they barricade them? So, and there was
that's the worst version of Three Little Pigs ever. and the wolf tried to blow on the wood doors with
the wolf put everybody in there. All right, guys, you have to huff and puff.
So
because I'm too busy burning.
So it looks like that it was just overestimated, and just kind of like everything in our history isn't exactly what they said it was, especially World War II and World War I before that, which caused World War II. It seems like they needed some kind of public support to make a state of Israel, and this was a great way to do it.
No one's saying we didn't kill a lot of Jews. We did. We did. Just maybe not as many as you thought.
Well, it's kind of like when McDonald's is like, I know we say over 1 billion.
Billions and billions.
I know we say that, but I mean, by now we have.
It's like
see, the other thing is it didn't look like
we didn't say just there, Dave. Like, but 6 million Jews have died ever.
Yeah. It looked like there weren't even that many Jewish people that popular. Yeah, at the time there wasn't even that many.
Well, who admits it?
Well, there's, there are, like, if you look at Auschwitz and you look at the actual number, they turned it used to say 4 million, but now.
By the way, it used to be known formally. I know this is a fact you might not know, Brandon. It used to be just known as Schwitz. And then they would fall a lot and go, Auschwitz. And then that's where the name came from. The Jews are like, Schwitz. My Gesellschaft Gezoik, my Schwitz hurts.
Wine Schwitzer. Can you give me a rosé Schwitzer?
Hold on a second. I'll be right back. I got to take a quick Schwitz.
Taking a Schwitz. Putting on the Schwitz.
Schwitz.
Wait,
Yeah,
you're
so they
Jewish and
adjusted
you're
the
not dead
numbers
because
down.
Brandon said it didn't happen. What'd you do?
No, like I
You're a
said,
fucking
I'm not saying it didn't happen or anything.
I
I'm just
think you're
saying
saying
that,
it didn't happen.
see,
Sounds a
that's
little.
the problem. You know, I mean, I know you're just messing around with me, but that's what people say. You know, you'll say, listen, I think 6 million was a little high. And they're like, so you believe it didn't happen? I'm like, did I say like it's
So,
Who are
I'm
you
gonna-
talking to?
Yeah,
Who
there
are
you
all
go.
these people?
Who are these people?
I'm going to go on the record and say I disagree with Brandon so that I don't get crucified.
I want to buy that record.
This is Dave Hintz selling his soul for blues and fear. I mean, whatever.
I'll stop the world and melt the Jew. That's the first hit.
See, this is the thing that's terrible, like,
all the time.
because there's Zionists. There's a whole different part
What
of
is
this.
a Zionist?
Okay, so a Zionist is somebody who wants to create the state of Israel against the teachings of the Talmud and all the Jewish teachings say we're going to wait for our Messiah. We have to wander in the wilderness till the Messiah comes and he will bring us to the promised land, right?
Yes,
So,
Dave. Yes,
go ahead,
Dave.
Dave. What's up?
I'm also going to need you to define Talmud.
That's the
I
Jewish
will also
text.
need you to define.
That's one of the Jewish texts.
Like how
Kinda
Dave's like, is Pat smart? No, but Pat just doesn't likes Brandon's flow. But Brandon
Yeah,
has
the
to do a
Torah
lot of this.
also.
Dave and I
Have
are
you-
not bright.
Yeah,
Have you heard of the
I have
Torah?
no problem being totally
No,
ignorant.
I don't.
on this.
I know. I've heard of the Torah,
Okay.
but I've never
Yes.
read it. I don't really know what the. I don't know what the
that's
difference
the
between Torah and
sign of the
Bible is. I really
bull.
don't know.
Now, so the Torah, I believe, is closer to what we have as the Old Testament, you know, but the Talmud is, I believe that's the Jewish law. So that's a little different. You know, I'm not an expert on the religion, but I know the difference. So this is basically what happened was there was a bunch of rich Europeans who all of a sudden converted to Judaism, and then they went and took over South Africa, killed all
The
the
best
Dutch.
part.
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
I hear, the
yeah.
best part, where all the whites live.
And you know, they started mining diamonds and just, you know, turned it into a hell, whatever.
I hear some of those diamonds are covered in blood.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. And that was done by Cecil Rhodes. There's a guy named Cecil Rhodes, and if you think of it, you ever heard of the term
That
Rhodes
sounds like
Scholar?
a 1930s like movie producer.
Yes.
Cecil
Well,
Rhodes.
he was like late.
I can make it funny.
Big
I'll
movie,
put you in the
see?
talkies,
Cecil Rhodes,
kid.
huh?
I think he died in the 1890s.
We got a big picture, see? It's, you know, it's Shirley MacLaine. It's a big picture. Cecil
Right.
Rhodes.
Baby,
You
baby,
know
let
what
me
a
tell you,
colored
you'll
fella
be a
cooking.
star.
The first
Just
scene
come
is,
over here, sit on this couch with me.
His first scene is a colored folk is cooking, right? The colored folks in there cooking, and then you walk in, you spook him, he makes the googly eye, and you go, ooh, daddy. That's the whole movie.
That is
You can't
basically
say
every member.
spook.
It was a bit, you could then.
I was thinking about that. Do you remember the scene in Back to the Future
Oh,
where
they're
they
gonna say The
lock
Shining.
Marty in the? No, I don't think he uses that in The Shining. But
The cook?
does he use the term spook?
Oh, no, he uses the N-word. I thought.
Oh, all right. No, because that's the racial slur they use in Back to the Future when they lock Marty in the trunk, and all the band is in the. They're all smoking the reefer, and one of the guy gets up and says, "Hey, what are you doing in my car?" And he goes, "Beat it, spook." And then all the band.
Remember
gets up.
that scene at all?
Yeah.
Wow.
Spook scene?
Yep.
I was gonna say that spook is also a derogatory term for spies. Like if someone's in the CIA, they call them spook. That's what people
Yeah,
usually foreign policy and stuff.
Brandon is our history and religion knowledge expert. I am our where racial slurs come from expert. And spooked, I don't know if you know this, comes from actually when black people would get scared, they'd be like, I'm spooked. And they would do that face. And then white people thought it was funny. They call them spooks because they were all like, ooh. And that's
Really?
it came out of taunting. Oh, that's real. Out of taunting. Look at him. He's spooked. That's spook because he's scary. Like, ooh, spooky.
I don't think that would pass the Facebook fact checkers.
I can
I'm
do all
just
this. Gook, that's my favorite one.
Yeah,
Gook,
I know that one.
that's my fave. That's the one where actually, once again, it's white people being made fun of and being stupid. Over in Vietnam, the Vietnamese would call white soldiers Gu Kai, which means stupid white person, and they go Gu Kai, Gu Kai, and then the soldiers would mock them and go Gu Kai, Gu Kai. So we're just yelling back stupid white guy at him and calling him Gook, and we shortened it.
So is that why that's your favorite?
I'm rubber, you're Gook. Yeah, I think that's tremendous.
My dad when I was a kid, I used to try and be like, my dad was an old crusty guy, so I'd be like, Dad, you can't say that. As I've gotten to be an adult, the one, like, he still says gook, but he was in Vietnam, so I feel like they were shooting at him, so I feel like he's got the right to be a real bastard about that.
I was a baby once and I shit my pants. It doesn't mean it's okay to shit my pants now, Dave.
Why not?
He's got to grow up. Tell your dad to grow the fuck up and get a real name.
In fairness to him, he only uses that slur when he's referring to the time when he was in the jungle being shot at and shooting at other people.
And then I said, "Hey, Gook, pass me my coffee."
That was another wonderful world war. Yeah, I can't even talk. Wonderful.
And I think
that was another great war of colonialism.
What a wonderful word.
What a wonderful.
That's our new segment, Wonderful Words, here on Podophiles.
Wonderful world.
This week, Spooks.
This is how it goes south.
Don't do it. If you're not going to do it, I'll do it. Are you going to do it?
Welcome to the wonderful world of sports.
Oh, I thought you were the wide world of gooks. Remember when Howard Cosell was live on TV and that guy, I forget his name.
Oh, yeah, he said, look at that monkey run.
Look at that little monkey go.
Yeah.
Look at that little monkey go. And he was just flying down the roof.
That's so terrible.
Holy shit. He was going.
Oh, that's so crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was on national TV. And no one cared.
I don't think
there was other things to worry about. I think is what it was. Nobody was listening.
Not for the monkey. He was like, he stopped his run and went, seriously? How?
They interrupted the game.
I know we don't have like instant replay yet, but we can go back and see how wrong that was. Cool? That'd be great. I was having one of the best moments of my NFL career. You had to ruin. I had a great run. So good, you compared me to animals that are faster than us.
Yeah, that's
But you didn't say, look at that little cheetah fly, or look at that, look at that condor sore. Which, by the way, I have on my ass still. I have a condor sore.
I was gonna say, is that like a symptom of herpes? I got a condor sore.
You know what condor sores? Victims of the Holocaust. Back to you, Brandon.
I thought you were gonna say victim
owned. Nice segue. It was seamless.
Made no sense.
So anyway, Zionism.
So we're not denying it before we go any further.
No, I'm not denying that it happened. What I'm saying is just like a lot of things that happen in war, facts get changed. Political groups will sway them and use them to change public interest. Kind of, like here when we had in World War I, it was when they wanted to go to war against the Germans. Nobody wanted to go to war against the Germans because there was like so many Germans here and there was nothing wrong. They're like, why would we do that? But then they had all this propaganda, and they said that German soldiers were going in and like killing babies, not in incubators, but in the hospital.
If I'm going to choose one thing to kill,
bayoneting babies, yeah,
they're the easiest. If I have to fight one level of human, I'm fighting baby.
Agreed.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They normally fight back.
It was all propaganda.
You know what? I don't even care how many babies.
All right, Dave. You're walking to a room unprepared, no weapons, nothing.
Yeah.
8 babies. Can you do it?
8 babies? Ooh.
Can you kill 8 babies?
I mean,
they're mad at you. They're gonna fight you.
All right.
8 babies.
So I have no element. There's no element of surprise.
Babies can't surprise. They're always crying.
No, I mean like me to them. I can't like sneak up on them. I've already been discovered.
You're storming baby.
Okay. Now,
going in.
How old are these? Are these babies that
Brandon
can't control their heads?
Do they have any kind of mutant powers? Like, are they zombie babies? Or
nope, they're just German. So they're good at making cars, and they like shyster films.
All right.
So they're just like floppy-headed babies with the pudgy little arms.
They do have those helmets on with the spike.
Oh my God! I wouldn't even have to do anything. I'd just sit back and watch them kill each other with their stupid heads and that unicorn.
That's basically what happened in World War II. At first they were doing well, then their stupid heads got in the way, and then they died.
Now, Brandon, was World War I the Archduke Ferdinand, or was it the Lusitania? Or am I?
So the Archduke Ferdinand is what ostensibly what people say kicked off the war in Europe, and then Lusitania is what kicked off the United States entering the war.
Oh yeah.
But the Lusitania was also, you could look back and there's a lot of shady stuff around that. The Germans actually put up full ads in our American newspaper saying, don't go on the Lusitania because we have evidence that they're shipping arms, and that's a violation, and we're going to bomb it. We're going to take it out. They put out ads. They knew it was going to happen. And so it was
like Lusitania, Lusitania.
So there was other people who wanted the United States in the war, so they allow that stuff to happen. I mean, it's just stuff that's been going on. It's documented.
Did they take out ads? Did they take out counter ads that were like, "Hey, Lusitania is great.
Like,
Make sure you buy a
don't
ticket."
listen to these guys, hey. Like, hey, don't listen to these guys.
Hey, it's me, David Hasselhoff, for the Lusitania Shuffle. Everyone's
No,
doing.
but it's
Get
just
on
like
down here, everybody. Let's all Lusitania dance tonight, baby.
well, just like now they have propaganda. They're like, wear a mask and whatever it is, and no evidence behind it, and people are like, okay, we'll line up to do it, and yeah, it's amazing what people will fall for. But yeah, so Zionists were the ones in World War II who were on. They kind of benefited, like they wanted a state of Israel, and what happened with Germany and everything, they kind of got their state of Israel, and the Jews that did die, they weren't Zionist Jews, they were just the normal Jews, and the Zionists were actually the ones who.
I don't want a normal Jew.
They were the ones who even might have been even involved, but like I said,
Dave?
I haven't looked deep enough into that evidence. But the number thing is what
Germany
I see.
wanted Israel.
No. The Zionists did. The Zionists were like, they were on the side, I would say, of the British, because they were British colonists first and foremost. But they made a deal. See, this is the thing. If you go back,
wait, Brandon. Aren't those known as the Phil colonists?
they were the unfill colonists. They were more into that other guy, Peter Gabriel.
Feel it coming in the air.
So they benefited when the Germans lost. I mean, they were probably playing both sides of the war, and it looks like it's too long to talk about for this podcast, but just look into it. But
nothing's too long ago.
No, I'm saying no. I mean, too long to get into. We'd be here for hours. But
yeah.
Well, what I wanted to say before that though was basically that the British had control of Palestine at the time, and they promised it to the Palestinians, but then they also promised it to the Zionists for the state of Israel. They kind of promised it to both, and then what happened was Israel came in.
Back then, there was no social media or anything. They're like, they'll never know.
They're in a relationship.
What are the odds they'll run into each other?
It's like one of those wackies 80s sitcoms where they're on two dates at the same time, and then Jack Ritter's running back and forth, and he's like, hold on a minute, I have to go to the bathroom. And then he runs out and he's like, sorry, Palestine, I was just over here making a phone call. And then they run into each other, and they both make out and hate Ritter.
Yeah, it's great. Basically because Britain was getting their butt kicked, so they had to make all these deals with everybody.
Yeah,
they didn't care. They were just making whatever.
British. America.
And that's actually exactly how France lost Vietnam, and that's how we got entered into Vietnam, because they got weakened after World War II and they couldn't hold on to their world empire.
I didn't know France was involved in Vietnam.
France.
I didn't know that either.
Vietnam.
I don't know
was a
anything
French
about
colony.
Vietnam.
Yeah. So Vietnam is a French
I don't
colony.
know anything about any war.
This is stuff I've learned like a lot recently. But so Vietnam was a French colony, and then after World War II, and after World War
How did they say it?
I don't know.
Vietnam?
Vietnam.
Vietnamese?
Like,
Vietnamese, if you please. We are Vietnamese.
Call me the baguettes.
We are Vietnamese, if you do not please.
Well, that's why they'd say, how they say tu
can't all
beaucoup?
talk.
Remember? Okay, so you remember?
Shut up, Cat.
Yeah, you can't talk either, Cat. Remember Full Metal Jacket? You see that movie?
Yeah.
Some of it, but then when the retarded guy was getting cracked, I stopped watching it.
Well, with the hooker scene.
That was the best part.
And the hooker was good, and she's like, "Me so horny," and the black guy's like, and she's like,
I know that from Two Live Crew.
Two Live Crew. They took it from that movie. And she's like, "Tu beaucoup." Well, that's French because they all spoke French.
Yeah.
And I know this also because my uncle was
me so horny.
Vietnam.
Oh, me so horny.
But it was.
Me
listen
so
to this
horny.
story.
We love you long time.
Listen to this story. Luther Campbell. He got a bunch
Was
of
in
girls
Vietnam.
naked. That's Luke. That's who sings that song.
Yeah, he also had made that soup.
Yeah, he did.
Ooh.
So my uncle got basically
What's your favorite
recruited.
kind of soup? Oh, Campbell's.
Luther Campbell soup. Put the black bean, baby.
He got recruited to go to Vietnam because he flew helicopters and he spoke
That's
French.
badass.
But listen to this. He was there as a French pilot who was supposed to be a civilian, but then he was like working for he just said some agency. He wouldn't really tell me what happened, but like everybody who went over there with, got killed in a really what he said one guy got found with his dick cut off and stuffed in his mouth.
That was the scene in Dead Presidents, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and this was like he told me this stuff. Yeah, and this isn't like he's not like somebody. So he probably told me this in like the early '90s, but I'm trying to think because he was there. I think he was born in because he was in the Marine Corps in the '50s. So he was right in between Korea and Vietnam. So he's in the Marine Corps, then he got out and he's in the reserves, and then they recruited him. That's how it's probably the CIA. I don't know, allegedly, but yeah, it's pretty brutal, the story. And then he would like tell me stories, and he'd have these terrible nightmares. He passed away a few years ago, but he would have these nightmares, so he couldn't tell me. We go fishing.
He choked on his own dick.
Yeah. Well, if I saw that, I'd be like,
Can I tell you that the most heartbreaking part of this story is finding out that your uncle is dead, because now that we have no one to fly helicopters, we can't have a Magnum PI reenactment.
I bet you Brandon can fly a helicopter.
Can you?
No, I wish. I could probably figure it out, though.
See, you can figure it out, though.
I could drive a boat.
All right, guys, we'll just learn as we go.
You know, it's fine.
I can't even get a license.
Yeah, I know.
Brandon,
why don't you talk about that? Maybe somebody will help you if they'll listen to this.
You don't even understand. My whole day today was every doctor and person and the therapist in the world all telling me someone else can help me. I called 8 different people, and they're all like, "No." Well,
so crazy.
I'm a driving denier. Brandon, when are you going to tell us that the Jews never happened? There's no such thing as Jews.
Well, you see, no, that's what, and that's the problem is because if you talk about the Zionists, and they're the ones that control Israel, and the things that they do to the Palestinian people are just horrible, and then they call them terrorists, and it's so not that. And then when you talk about that, everyone's like, you hate the Jews. It's like, no, and they're even a majority of the Jewish people will just say that too. They'll tell you that, a lot of the rabbis and stuff, because they're not into war and they're not into that. I think we'll be fine talking about the Holocaust as long as we talk about Pat not getting his license and me so horny. They'll just be like, oh, this is great.
That's fine. You're in.
Yeah.
Well, just cancel me. Brandon was actually trying to teach people stuff, and then Dave was trying to learn, and now we know why Pat didn't do well in school.
Oh, I didn't do well in school either.
I know.
I'm
not even doing well now.
Pat, we're going to hold you after the podcast for distracting the rest of the class.
Where's your air conditioner?
My air conditioning?
Where are you?
I'm in my office, also known as
closet.
The closet.
So finally, Dave Hintz out of the closet.
No, went right back in.
Right back in. He's like judo. You try to get it. He's like, nope, even better. Like, I love it. It's great. You can't fuck this.
It's like judo, but you don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
All right,
I
so
was
Brandon,
hoping the sound would be better.
Let's let Brandon do it for a minute. I actually, so you're saying there were Jews?
Yes.
So they've always been a thing. That's what you want us. That's the premise.
Yes, it looked like
Jesus was a Jew.
Yes, Jesus.
Until he died.
That's another interesting story. It looks like you want to get into that.
Oh, yeah.
Are we going to finish the other one?
Oh, we could talk about that next week. There's actually, I'll just give you.
Let's get into the Jesus one, then get back to the other one.
Yeah,
okay.
tease the Jesus one.
So the Jesus one is that there's evidence. A guy wrote a couple books about it, but it looks like that Jesus might have been, the figure Jesus was taken. There's this guy. His name was Josephus Flavius, and he was
That's not a real name.
Some people thought that he wrote the Bible, or like Ghost wrote the Bible, or he was there around that time. And
Ghost wrote the Bible.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Trust me. It's the New Testament. Like the Gospels. And then other people say he was the figure that they called Saul or Paul. But anyway, so he took the story of this guy who was the grandson of Caesar and Cleopatra, and he was actually
Brandon just said like it was juicy goss.
Dude, it's
the
crazy.
Grandson
So listen,
Cleopatra and
Julius
they were getting
Caesar
down and dirty behind the fig leaves. Yeah, they all fucked. There was like 8 people back then. We all know who they were.
No, but I'm just saying it's crazy how this. Okay, so this person's name was, I guess, Jesus of Gamala is who he's called.
Where?
So of Gamala, and he was a king of Odessa, and Odessa was So Israel was basically a buffer state between Odessa, which was this huge kingdom, and the
That's in
Roman Empire.
Texas.
Yeah.
Odessa,
the line in
Texas.
But yeah,
That's
but before
that's a line
that,
in
there was an
Tin Cup.
Odessa.
No, Brandon, let's do it my way.
Okay.
So he was in
Jesus
Odessa,
is from
Texas.
Odessa,
So,
Texas.
He was the king of Odessa, and Israel
Texas.
was this state that
Biggest
was
state in the
like, it
Union.
was propped up. It was a propped up state of the Roman Empire, but it was a buffer state in between the two. It's kind of like the United States has like Ukraine in between our interest in Russia, the European, whatever. Anyway, so
That was not an example to give me and Dave.
no, I know, but for the
Oh, it's
listeners,
just like that other thing Dave and I don't know.
I gave up on you guys. I'm speaking to the listeners right now. Anyway,
Oh,
just so
it's
you know.
wrong.
Oh, I
Alaska's
know, but let's also remember that Dave and I, the funny thing about this is that Dave and I want to pretend like we're interested, and we are interested. We're too stupid to understand.
These are facts.
Him and I just get sad.
No, it's okay. Are you?
I'd
You're
like to print a
following it. I mean,
retraction.
I'm making it
Kind
easy
of.
enough
I
to
didn't
follow,
get the
right?
Ukraine part at all.
Okay,
Oh, no, I'm
all
gone.
right, I'll give you a
I
different
just learned
analogy.
that Alaska is the biggest state in the Union. So.
Basically, yeah, that's so true. So basically, there was the
Pretty
whole
big.
Roman Empire was like the Mediterranean Sea at
They
the
were
time.
holy.
Okay, and then there was this Odessa, which was over more near in the Middle East, and in
In
between
Texas.
was Israel, and it was just propped up by the Roman Empire, but it was this way so they can trade and stuff, so they can have and of course it was, Israel. So anyway, there was a king of Odessa, and he was actually the son of the grandson of Julius Caesar and Cleopatra. And
Did he
was
have
the
a
king
name?
of Odessa. Yeah, Jesus of Gamala.
Oh.
And he wore a purple sash. And guess what kind of crown kings of Odessa wore?
Thorns.
Thorns, right? And they
nailed
never mention Odessa in the Bible, which is a huge clue because it was a giant. You could go back and there's actual historical evidence that Odessa existed, and they wore the crown of thorns. So anyway, what it looks like was there was no Roman emperor at the time. The throne was vacant. So it looks like he was going.
Has a thorn.
It looks like he was going to make a run for the to
Jesus
be the Roman Empire because he had the blood. He had Julius Caesar, right? So he had this cult that was started around him that was called the cult of Christos.
In a fucking bed. Sorry.
And no, it's okay. And he made a run at it, and whoever I think was like the governor of like the Egypt or whoever at the time, I forget the guy's name, but they had
Jesse
a big
Ventura.
War. Exactly, he had a war against Jesse Ventura.
Did
Oh,
they have
Jesse
government
won.
in Egypt?
Jesse Ventura won.
Good.
So he became the Roman emperor.
The body.
The body. And Jesus of Gamala lost. So they took him. It looks
Oh.
like there's evidence that they took him up to the farthest away, which is colonies that they had in England. And it looks like they made an actual temple for him. So they had this whole thing where the historical figure of Jesus lived. Now, what happened was 50 years after that, there was a Jewish revolt against the throne or against the empire, which got squashed.
We don't
So this
like
guy-
this.
Exactly. You killed our savior.
Oh boy. I don't know.
We're schwitzing out here.
It was a very complaining revolt.
Oh, very revolting. It's very revolting. John
So-
Revolta, more like it. I don't like his movies. Not Travolta, Revolta. He's revolting.
So it looked like this guy
I'm
Joseph
molting.
Flavius. You sound like Big Bird's like Jewish cousin. Like I'm all
Yeah,
that way.
Big Bernstein. Big Bernstein over here. Snuffleupagus is a Catholic bad. He's a Gentile. I don't trust him as far as I can throw him.
He's
Big
he's
Bernstein
Goyim.
over
What is it?
here.
Goyim,
What's a goyim?
Shivas Goyim. It's kind of like
Stop
watch-
asking if we know stuff. We don't. Just
the
tell
movie
us.
Blade.
yeah.
You know the movie Blade.
Yeah.
Yes.
You ever see that? They had the familiars, the friendlies. I think
Oh, yeah.
that's what that means. I think it's like the
Goyim?
people that they use. Yeah.
But a golem is the thing made of mud.
Gollum is
Yeah.
the guy with the ring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Wait, he was made of mud?
So
Is that
anyway,
why he was called that? Because he was a mud man?
Probably because he got reduced down to just like the shadow.
Because his real name wasn't Gollum. His real name
No.
was Smeagol.
Smeagol. That's a very Jewish sounding name.
That is the most Jewish name in the history of Jewish names.
Oh my God, we figured it out, Pat.
Yeah. Smeagol
Holy
Gollum
shit!
is
Was
Jesus.
And he
Jewish.
saved the day.
Ah.
He sacrificed himself for the sins of others.
After wandering around with a couple of people for a while.
Yep. He wandered around with a group of men in sacrificing himself because of the sins of others.
Precious.
Smeagol Christ.
He wants us to does the precious.
That's pretty good.
I guess.
Smeagol.
Smeagol, Alabama. What are you gonna go into?
What do you mean you
Smeagol,
get
Alabama.
nothing?
So anyways, the Zionists, they stole the lands they did.
I can't.
Yoda Smeagol.
So decided that the land was the precious.
Took over the precious, the Zionists.
All right, Brandon, you be Yoda, and Dave, you be Smeagol, and I'll leave.
So that's the story of Jesus, everybody. And what happened was that guy Josephus Flavius, he took the story of Jesus Kamala,
That's the story.
put it on top of the Jewish uprising, and just made it one story and called it the New Testament. But there is a lot of like.
So wait, you're telling me, Brandon Smith?
That's what
You're
this guy
telling-
proposes.
hold on.
Okay.
You're telling me, Brandon
Yes.
Smith, that Jesus Christ wasn't born from a woman who never had sex and a man who just hung out with him and really came from a magical creature in the sky? You're telling me he actually came from two famous people that fucked and they made up a fake story to cover it up like everything else in Hollywood?
I'm actually glad you say that, Pat, because my background is very synchronistically has a lot to do with that. This is actually the floor of a first century Jewish temple, and you notice how
your actual background.
I thought he was going into his history.
See this? No, you know my background.
I thought you were bragging about like you're now. My background is in, and you're like,
I got a background in hidden
my
bones.
background is in a man with all
I don't
his
know if
balls.
you know this, but did you see his background, Dave?
Oh, yeah,
I did.
Dave saw it right away and loved it.
Oh yeah, it's great.
So what actually was
What happened was
the whole story of Christ is much older than just Jesus. They actually put it together, but it has a lot to do with the zodiac right here, and that actually the Jewish religion had a lot to do with the zodiac.
good thing it froze.
And that's stuff that they don't really talk about anymore.
Who
It froze.
Oh, it did freeze, but you guys didn't see it, I guess. It kind of right when you said zodiac, they're like, "Oh, Christ got involved."
Zodiac. So, first century BC, first century AD. Anyway, so what was I saying? Yeah. So this
Was
story.
there any?
Well, was
But there was a Jesus before Jesus, right?
Well,
Like a story of
okay.
someone that they stole that, right?
Yeah, so this is what it is. All it is the story of the sun in the sky, and it just has to do with esotericism. And the reason that Jesus is born on December 25th is because it's 3 days after the winter solstice, when the sun dies. Because what happens
That's when you balance an egg.
when you watch it, it stays in one spot and then for like 3 days, so it like dies and it rises again and it's higher. So that's when they say that. Also is the story of Easter. They like take it all, but they just put them on top of pagan holidays. So they had these pagan holidays already. And then this is what the Romans did. They did this after, though. This was after all that. That was like Constantine. So we're talking like
Keanu
Reeves.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah, exactly.
There's another one now, and he looks all wormy. I don't like that new one.
Yeah, but that's the one from the TV, not the movie.
Yeah, it's not the
Yeah.
one from Keanu Reeves. It's the other
Yeah,
guy.
so he's just an imitator.
TV.
Keanu Reeves is also an
Constantine?
imitator. It was a
Which
comic book.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but Keanu.
Well, so I'm
starred in
talking
the
about the.
comic book.
Yeah, Brandon, we're not going to know about the smart guy stuff.
No.
I mean,
We barely knew about the comic book.
It's kind of fascinating, but I knew that Jesus culturally appropriated all the holidays from the
Sol Invictus. Sol Invictus was the god. And what happened was Constantine was in. I'll just give you this quick story. Constantine was in a battle, and they were losing. This was the story, and he said he looked up and he saw a cross in the sky, and he knew that
They were down by 2. There was 4 minutes left.
There was 4 minutes left.
Hail Mary!
A Hail Mary.
And we didn't even know what that was yet.
So the virgin birth. and
Hail,
all that
what's
stuff,
the name?
all that Hail Mary stuff, that's all esoteric knowledge. That's all just stuff from astrology, but they call it astrotheology.
So
anyone
Doug
that's
Flutie wasn't real?
astrotheology. Doug Flutie was totally real. Flutie
No,
Flakes
but he's
were real.
Canadian.
Flutie Flakes and his dumb crippled kid.
Yeah, well, that kid was.
Here's your throw. What do you get out of it? Your child's weird. All right.
Can you still get Flutie Flakes?
Yeah, you have to just itch the kid's head real hard.
It depends on if you wear rubber or not. I got the Flutie Flakes from this floozy.
Hey, Dad, my rash is acting up. Well, you know what we call it in the house, son? My fruity flakes. What are fruity flakes?
Fruity Flakes are if you're in San Francisco.
Now, new to the Flutie Flakes line, Fruity Flakes.
Fruity flakes, now without legs.
It turns your milk pink.
It turns your mom sad.
Mostly your dad.
No, he was fine. He rode that
dad's
to
not
sunset.
around.
His dad made sure that got him in the Hall of Fame, the little midget. Look at my son. Look at it. Look at it.
So I'm not trying to say that actually the Christian religion is actually really beautiful. Like if you look at the whole thing of Christ and following in his image, it's just that the church effed it all up. It's like anything. What it is, it's just a system of control. Religion and government are both just systems of control, two sides of the same coin, because your freedom and their absolution is through them. Whereas the true Christians, like esoteric Christians, will say that you just have to embody and follow the path of Jesus. My cat's like, no. Where churches will say, you have to give us your money and you have to do what we say. We forgive your sins. Whereas your sins are forgiven by yourself once you figure out that you sin. Sin is just mistakes. It's, there's no heaven and hell in esoteric Christianity. It's much different. It's more like a new age kind of religion, but there's no bullshit in there. It's pretty amazing.
Well, religion.
Yeah, it's like Taoism.
Religion
really.
is a construct.
Yeah.
God is real, Brendan. God
Well,
speaks to me every day, Brandon. He told me to make this podcast. He said, "You need to make the word pedophiles okay again."
I'll tell you this, right? So if you asked me, what do I believe? I would say,
Brandon.
What do you believe?
What do you believe?
I believe that there is some kind of creator, and I can't explain what or who or what it is. To me, it's just a mystery. I don't try to explain it or embody it or put it into words. It's just a mystery. So what I try to do is align myself with the principles of natural law, because it seems to me, in my experience, that natural law is a real thing, and it's like the laws are binding. So if you go around, like karma is
like
real.
cheese.
Yeah, it's just like karma, like that's all they call it. So, but then if you ask somebody who is a quote unquote atheist, they'll just say that it's all random, right? That it just got there.
That's the thing. That's the thing I don't understand at all, because there's nothing more ordered and structured than nature. So how the fuck is that random?
That's the thing that got me. You can't get order out of chaos. I don't think it, no matter how many billions of years, if you have a junkyard, you're not going to get a 747 out of it.
Take one large order of chaos, please. Hold the fries.
Well, chaos definitely exists.
How did you hold the fries?
I've got so much chaos.
We call it chaos, all right?
Yeah, it was just a Chinese guy trying to say flies anyway. Hold the fries. They bite my head. They give me Fruity Flakes. Oh, Fruity Flakes. All right, so
there's other lies. I'll tell you really quick.
Fruity Pebbles.
Some misconceptions. These are things you can prove. So there are stories that the Germans had purses and like all this stuff made out of the skin of Jewish people. Like the wives of the Nazi officers were like, I want handbags and stuff. And they actually
out of hands.
So listen to this. Yeah. All right, episode's over. Part 2 next week. We'll give you the rest.
Oh man.
Oh shit, that was great.
Pocketbooks made out of their actual pockets.
Out of the pockets. We're talking about the vaginas. And what
pocketbook. I said eye socket book. That's what I wanted.
Listen to this. After the war, they took the Germans who were still alive to the concentration camps and set up tables and had different displays of lampshades that were supposed to be made out of Jewish people's skin and all this stuff. And it was all fake. You can go back and look. It was all just like a psyop. Look at his eyes.
I'm concentrating.
Really creepy.
So even to this day, people that were in the concentration camps believe that was real, but it was just a rumor. There was no evidence.
It was all a dream.
It was.
Holy
and I'm
shit.
saying these are just independent researchers that went back to look at it. Like one of the guys that's the main source of this is Jewish.
Yes, Dave.
Go ahead, Dave. I'm gonna look up his name. Go ahead. Yes.
Do you have green eyes?
I have hazel eyes that change colors with what I'm wearing. They can go
I
green
think
or
that's
brown.
What's going on with it? Like, because my eyes won't do that. Your eyes got all shiny.
My eyes adore you.
Oh.
Though I never laid a hand on you. My eyes sparkle.
God, Jesus Christ.
Yes.
Oh, he's not real, Dave. He's not real. You gotta say Jesus of Deuteronomy, whatever the fuck Brandon
Jesus
said.
of Deuteronomy. That's great.
What about Jesus and new ramen?
Jesus
it's
is new.
playing right now.
Old ramen, same like the new ramen. All right, so how many Jews died in the Holocaust?
I don't know. I
All
don't know
that
the real numbers,
participated.
like I said, but it looks like that.
I'm in.
It looks like at
I'm
least
gonna sit this one out.
in Auschwitz, they said the number's like 4 million, but when they went back and did historical, looked at it, looks more like.
Yeah, but how do they do it? How do you
That's
go
a good
back and
point.
count the dead when they're not? They're dead.
Not
Well,
alive.
I guess there's registers of people and stuff when they went in there, and there's all kinds of.
Yeah, they were
But they
pretty
were
good at
hiding
registering those
Jews.
people.
And
But they were hiding.
I'm pretty sure the Nazis had a count of the people. In fact, they had a pretty sophisticated spelling system, if I remember correctly.
They had
And
a
that's the
notebook
thing.
and a pen, Dave. It was fucking back then. They're like 1 Jew, 2 Jew, 3 Jew, 4 Jew, 5 Jew, 6 Jew, 7 Jew, hike. That's what they would do. That was the old 10 Mississippi.
Like I'm not the person to actually have the debate or whatever. Because
In this room, you are. In
Yeah.
this,
No,
you're the
I
only one there
understand.
is.
But what I mean is, from what I've seen, like these people have done a lot of work, and it gets hidden and taken down all the time, and people destroy it. And to me, it's like, listen, if you weren't worried about it, why would you try to hide it so much, and why would you try to?
I mean, to be
You know?
serious,
I agree with
That's
that.
not the only reason.
hiding it so much because it's a people that were told. If it wasn't true, and my whole life I was raised on this guilt in this.
If it
thing.
wasn't true, I understand why they're trying to hide it. That's what I'm saying.
That's why it's not even about the hiding. It's just like stop bringing it up, man. Like even if it was 6 million or 1 million, so many people that were just my relatives got killed just because some guy was like, "You're not handsome enough for me."
Well, that's part
You
of
don't
the
look
other
like
thing
Hints.
too. It doesn't
realize
look like
Oates
that's
was a
exactly
Jewish
how
name.
it went down.
I was reenacting.
It looked like
If
it was
I
more
was
like,
a Jew. No, I'm safe. I'm Irish. No one gives a fuck about us.
It looked like it was more like they were just POW camps, and they just ran out of food.
I put the PO and POW, by the way.
Ah.
So it wasn't like they were purposely trying to
Wow.
exterminate all these people. Maybe
I'm going to
toward the
open my
end.
own wrestling camp called POW. Paddles
Wow.
Wrestling.
So,
You can do the merch, POW, Paddles Wrestling.
pow. So when we advertise this, maybe we shouldn't put the word H. We'll just let people listen to it.
You said on Float we can advertise anything.
Oh
They
yeah,
were
and
racist.
Float. Yeah, Float. We could do that. Yeah, Float. Did
Oh
it.
wait, so the one thing you're worried about is the POW part?
No, I don't care about POWs. I'm just saying on YouTube, they don't.
That's a
I don't really.
big
If you notice,
stance.
I don't really advertise it. I kind of just put like,
Wait.
Dave is gay, and then they watch it.
Yeah, that's great.
We're just gonna let that go by. Brandon said, "I don't really care about POWs." That's a pretty hot take, buddy.
No, I mean I don't care if we
Not
put it in
anymore.
the
They've cooled off.
description. I don't care if they put it in the description. I'll give you something about POWs though. You know John McCain.
Yeah.
That
I
guy
knew
was
of
a
him.
scumbag. When he was a POW, other POWs hate him. He was a sellout. He sang like a canary. That's what, like, if you go look up videos of other POWs talking
would
about him,
sing.
oh, it's great.
I would
He
sing
used
so
all that.
hard.
Because they knew him because his dad was someone real important. So that even the higher ups in
Yeah,
the
he
on
was
the
the
other
French fry
side-
guy. The McCain
Somebody.
French fry guy.
Oh, is that how
So
he got his family's money?
I have made that up.
yeah,
Did
no,
they
that
invent
worked.
the crinkle cut? Before
Yes.
them, it was all straight fries.
It was straight fries, but then when he came back with the busted bones in his arms from POW camp, they're like, "What's that? That's a crinkle cut." And they're like, "Oh, let's use that."
Yeah, he was such a warmonger too. He came back and he was like for every war ever. He just would talk out against torture. Yes, sir.
I don't know what warmonger means. I've heard it my whole life. What's a monger?
Wait, I got this one. I got
Yes, go
this
ahead.
one.
Please.
A monger is someone who sells things, much like fish, and somehow it's connected to Down syndrome because mongoloids, I guess.
Mongoroid
sold-
So it's retarded people selling fish.
selling war.
Can I
It's
get
retarded
some of
people
this
selling
fish?
war. You can get all the war you want.
Let's
Go over to
look that up.
Yemen.
I've got carp. I got fresh carp. Fresh carp. Who wants carp?
I'm a fishmonger, not a warmonger.
So it's someone who sells something. So a warmonger is someone who's selling the idea of war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're like a cheerleader too. Like, yeah, he was a big time. He wanted us to go to war with Iran. He wanted us like
Hitler, he's our man. If he can't kill Jews, no one can.
Adolfo Hitlerio.
Aggressive. B-E.
Yeah, and like again, I'm not trying to say that Nazis were anything cool. You know, they all sides in World War II.
I'm pretty sure you were trying to say the Nazis were pretty cool.
Both sides were wrong in World War II. The Soviets were horrible. Even the Allies, they all killed a bunch of people.
Can I ask you a quick question, Brandon?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
What's the last two letters in Nazi?
Z.
The last two letters.
Z-I.
What's the last two letters in Fonzie?
Z-I.
You said the Nazis weren't cool?
Ooh.
Fonzie was
cool. Jewish.
Do you know what Nazi stands for?
Jewish.
Arthur Fonzarelli. Which is Italian.
The most Italian Jewish name ever. Yeah.
Yeah, why was he Jewish?
This is something that will piss people off. Do you know what Nazi stands for?
No, I don't.
Yes.
I have no idea.
Something socialist. It's a shorter version of the German Socialist Party.
Yeah, National Socialist is basically what it is. So like
that doesn't spell Nazi.
People who are socialists hate that because they're like, he was fascist. And I'm like, it's the same thing. It's all totalitarianism. They try to split it up, but it's all the same brand. It's like little intricacies.
It's not the North American zipper inspectors like I always thought it was. They would come around and check your pants to make sure your pants. I'm a Nazi. It's like, all right, look at my fly.
They were all the guys who couldn't get into the federal booby inspectors.
I thought it was everybody.
I got to start at the zipper and work my way up.
No, I'm in the Nazis, the North American zipper inspectors. Is your fly down? I'm a Nazi.
I just.
That's why their hand was like that. They're like, lift it up. Lift up the fly. It's down.
I just thought it was everybody that wasn't Z.
Yeah.
But did you ever hear Owen Benjamin's joke about that? He does a thing where he's like, the Nazis were like this, and then the Black Power movement came along and they were rock. And he goes, and then the hippies came and they were paper or scissors. He's like, they played rock, paper, scissors. Yeah, it's pretty
yeah,
fun.
whenever I see a hippie, a Nazi, and a black guy together, I'm like, hope there's a joke.
Yeah, this is something. If not, it's gonna happen.
Two are gonna die.
Not Z.
Yeah, what's that about? The Nazis. It's like we are.
Well, this is the thing. Really, what the German people were actually fighting for was their national identity because they were so screwed over after World War I. It wasn't like Hitler said, we got like, there's a reason that they don't transcribe what Hitler was saying. They just show him as a maniac because a lot of what he's saying, you would be like, oh, that kind of makes sense because he was just talking about all the bullshit that was happening to him. He wasn't up there saying,
words expressed on Podophiles podcast and not the words expressed thought of by Dave Hinton.
That's what I mean. The brainwashing is like so thick that even if you talk about it, you're afraid that people are going to like come and hunt you. What I'm saying is he wasn't talking about exterminating the Jews and stuff like that. He was talking about the idea of kind of like what Donald Trump is doing.
I don't like his killing us so much, but his economic policies.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's how we started. That's why I said the 38
Nazis.
Because they was such a good team. They're rolling people over. No, they were still scumbags.
Small mom and pop businesses are booming. So what? We get rid of a couple schmeckles. Oh yeah. They lose them. He's not exterminating them. He's just moving them to a fireplace.
Actually, he actually told the United States that to take him in. He tried to send him here, but we said no. There was actually a ship that went to Florida, and we turned it around, and those people ended up in a concentration camp. So
what was it? Oh, for Christ's sake!
I'm telling you, they were all.
Once again, Dave,
government.
It's not real.
It's not the people. What I try to tell people is I like to separate the people from the government because so many people could be. And it is their action. So yes,
are you trying to separate Hitler from the Nazi?
No, I'm saying the German
out of Hitler, but you can't take Hitler out of the Nazis.
Exactly.
The North American
Nazis were the government. So yes, the Nazis, that was the government. Just like over here it was, the United States. I mean, we dropped apparently 2 nuclear bombs on a country or firebombed them. And did firebomb Tokyo, killed millions of people, and all of a sudden we're, it's like, oh, we're fine, and they were mostly just fucking villagers,
Hey, Dave.
So there's no good sides of war.
Do you know where the term Chinese fire drill comes from?
I'm so horrified that you're going to tell me.
When we were dropping bombs, when they would get blown up and stuff, it would blow up on people, and they would just run out going crazy,
Circles.
screaming like they were going to die in circles. So we took it as it's time to park your car, get out of it, run in a circle for fun, and get back
Fucking
in.
baby
The
boomers.
Chinese fire drill is from people running for their lives, burning on fire, and we made it fun.
I do think that's good old American engineering.
And
We can
I want
find
to
the
say
fun in anything.
one
I
thing
do
really quick
add
too.
to the show.
I kind of feel it's not like I'm trying to say the people who fought in World War II were scumbags, because like I joined the military. I feel bad for the people, on all sides, because they were told all kinds of lies and propaganda. Most of those people were good people who thought they were doing a good thing. That's why they say the road to hell is paved with good intentions. All our soldiers that are in the Middle East right now, turning children into hamburger meat with their bombs, they think they're doing a good thing. They don't know. A lot of them, when they get back, they have PTSD issues, and there's a really high rate of vet suicide because of it. So not a lot of them do know they're doing fucked up things, but that's what happens, man. You get sold a bill of goods, and then you're just fighting for the guy next to you. You're just trying to save the guy next to you. There's these. Do you guys know about? I think it was World War I, where they had stopped it for Christmas.
Dave. Yes, Dave.
Did you hear about that? Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Wait, no, what? Sorry, I'm just thinking of the word. So there's an actual. I would like to know what the numbers are, Brandon. You're kind of the numbers guy. So veterans have a high instance of suicide rate, but so do veterinarians. So I'd like to know which vets have the highest rate of suicide.
That's a good question.
I'll bet you it's the veterinarians because there's less of them.
Yeah.
Because so many of the veterans have killed
And if you let someone's precious dog die, how sad that little child and family get, you can't live on.
Well, think about it this way. Most veterans.
You got Sarah McLachlan down your fucking neck singing.
Most veterans have never seen combat. Like a large amount of veterans are just, a lot of them sit behind a desk. A lot of them, there's so many, cook. There's only a couple people that actually are the ones. So they're the ones that have the issues, most of them. So, but veterinarians, they all kill dogs.
Yes, Dave.
Go ahead, Dave.
Are there Army veterinarians? So vets?
Yeah, probably.
What are their suicide? Their suicide stats must be through the goddamn roof.
Yeah, there were 3 and 2 killed themselves.
Veteran combat veterinarians? They're all dead.
Veteran veterinarians of war.
Veteran combat veterans. Yeah, wow.
I was talking to my therapist today, and then she was mentioning that I have PTSD, and I'm like, well, don't you mean PATSD? And she's like, no, I don't. And I'm like, all right. I tried to add my name into that. That didn't work out well.
We appreciate the effort, though, Pat.
That's all I do is try to trump things with my name, put my name on shit.
That dude's got the best name for doing that.
He does. Brandon, back to you.
Well, I guess we can.
No, you were still on a thing, and we kind of Dave asked a question and ruined it.
Oh yeah, where was I? Do you remember?
Dave, your question was about the numbers of veterans dying, so that means Brandon was talking about veterans.
Oh yeah, I was just talking about how. Okay, so I was just talking about how people
go for it. I'm getting water.
People go into war. They're just fighting for the person next to them, and there's people in power know this, and that's what happens. And it's my belief that they had these wars. There's these wars for people in power are there's a lot of benefits for them, right? There's so many. And I feel that they construct them, all these people, like, so the people in power on one side, maybe they don't even know it. I don't know exactly how it works, but there's a lot of benefits. Okay, so even if they don't plan it, but one of them that no one really looks at is that it culls the population. You take the most able-bodied males in your society and you send them off to war, and then you're left with a society that's weaker. And if you keep doing that, your society is going to get weaker and weaker and easier to control. And think about it now. We're down now where someone says, wear a mask. And I'm like the fucking only one in this area that doesn't. You know what I mean? Like, if they tried that shit.
What about, all right, but what about the Spartans, the culture that was war? War was the point. Because I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you about, war is for governments. It's never for the people. It's never for the soldiers. But what about the Spartans?
Well, I think a self-defense war. So there's different, but I believe it was different with Sparta because the city-states would always fight each other for like control and land and territory. But it was more kind of, I don't want to say it was like a sport, but it kind of was like a sport back then.
It was like, it was their thing.
Yeah, that actually carried over, and that actually goes into our modern education system because there was a lot of different, like in the Prussian, in Prussia and that whole area, like where Germany is now, they used to have a lot of different. I would say, like in the probably like late 1700s or early 1800s, they would have a lot of different wars, and it was just lining people up, and they would like do different battles, but I feel it was more of that thing where it was like they were trying to get people, but it was more glorious and gallant. And that's how they had that. They started their whole Prussian school system, which we adopted to make good soldiers, but we adopted to make good factory workers also. But that fast forward into World War I, they were still kind of fighting that way. It's kind of like the Civil War way. And then World War I, they would just send wave after wave of people like that into modern machine guns and these giant cannons. So it was just a meat grinder. And then if you think about it, it's like, what if that was on purpose? What if they're just like, we got to get rid of all these dudes if we're going to take over, you know, if we're going to grapple up all their land and money.
Got a bunch of dudes. I'm calling the place the meat grinder. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That sounds like a hot place for dudes.
That's the original grinder. Yeah. And it was like, you read those accounts and they thought they were brave. And it's like, charge. And it's just like,
remember Eric from The Grind?
Piles of bodies.
Remember that guy?
Yeah, I remember that dude.
That dude was something for like a hot minute. He got to wear
Well,
overalls and no shirt. A lot.
Did he make that? Is that his look?
Was he on The Real World?
Yeah. Eric from
Okay.
The Grind. I think he was the same season as Puck and Pedro.
Puck is the only person I remember from the real world.
You don't remember Pedro.
I don't remember.
You don't remember the story of how a Hispanic little man taught the world about AIDS and how to love, and how Puck would yell at him and make fun of him.
Wait, how'd they get AIDS if they didn't know how to
Shut
love?
up, Dave. I'm doing something. And then the Puck would sit there and make fun of Pedro and do things like put his dirty, scabby fingers in his peanut butter and make Pedro cry. And then there was a hot girl who was nice to Pedro. And then there was a homely girl who was also nice to Pedro. And no one liked the homely girl. She danced around. And there was a black man with dreads. We learned a lot. But at the end, who became best friends? Puck and Pedro. And when Pedro died, Puck cried a bunch. A bunch. And we learned
He had AIDS too.
that if you're tiny and Hispanic, you will die of AIDS. But if you're black and Magic Johnson, you never will. The more you know.
That's another one of those. AIDS is all bullshit.
Oh, keep going with this.
Next week on
You have our
Podophiles.
attention.
You know what's killing people now? The fucking AZT, the drug that cures, is what's killing
Easy,
people.
Brandon. Next week, AIDS is bullshit. That's our next one.
Yeah. Oh, that's real easy. There's a book by Peter
Brandon!
Duisberg. It goes.
Stop.
Don't give him the gold. Tease it. Arthur Ashe isn't dead. No, I'm kidding.
No, people really died
Join
again.
us next week when
People really
Brandon
died, but
disproves
it's
AIDS.
not. Join us next week again for It's Not What They Told You It Was. Da, 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 da.
What
AIDS.
numbers are more skewed? Death of AIDS or death of Holocaust?
No, so I think that people really die, and they just say
I
it's
also
AIDS.
think people
Hang
really
on.
die. We are
I'm
finally
still
on the
on
same
Wait.
page.
I'm on the fence.
Let me back up. I screwed that
You
up.
can't prove they're dead.
HIV doesn't cause AIDS.
Right.
AIDS just means autoimmune deficiency syndrome. People, yes, die of autoimmune deficiency syndrome, but there's a virus called HIV causing AIDS. There's no evidence that it exists. You cannot find the paper that says it ever caused it.
I
Nothing.
can't wait. I can't wait for next week. So I'm so gonna listen.
Yeah.
I thought AIDS stood for "Am I doing sex?" I thought it stood for. Like everyone looks gross and diseased. I'm like, well, I'm walking in here like, you got AIDS? Am I doing sex? What?
I thought it stood for anally
That is the
inflicted death
only way.
sentence.
That's
Never
the
heard that
ultimate
one.
way to prove you're not lying. Did you get laid? Did I get laid? I got AIDS.
I got AIDS.
All of the AIDS. How much AIDS? All of them.
Yeah, it's not like when you were a kid and you could just put a vacuum on your neck and say you got a hickey.
I put a
Hey,
vacuum on my neck
no
and said I had
dust
AIDS.
buster giving you AIDS, kid.
Do you really have AIDS? Look at these lesions. That's makeup.
Look at this Tom Hanks poster.
You just stuck some cornflakes on your skin.
Who's that
What's that?
handsome
fucking
man
guy?
he's dancing with? That's a young Antonio Banderas.
That is a young Antonio Banderas.
He was handsome in that Navy outfit. I've never seen Philadelphia, but I reference that all the time.
Oh, it was a good movie.
I saw some of it, but then I was like, oh, yeah, this has AIDS.
So,
I'm
You ever
out.
play that game? You ever play that game where it's like describe a movie in 6 words?
No. Will
All
this
right,
be
I
like
was-
your riddle from last week?
Did you just make this game up?
No, it's a thing. There's like
It's a G and an
6
I,
words.
and then a line. And then underneath, it's Dave's dick. Oh, it's a soldier over Dave's bed.
Answer is penis. It's always penis.
We got road moon. We got roadhead on the moon. Sorry.
All right, so Dave,
Hey.
go ahead.
My it was 6 words or less, and my description for Philadelphia was brotherly love means AIDS.
I don't know if I would have got. I would have said Brokeback Mountain
There were no AIDS in Brokeback Mountain.
or Brothers. I just,
But Philadelphia.
my mind
'cause
doesn't
it's
go
the
to
brotherly
Philadelphia.
Love.
When I
But
hear
see,
brother
the-
love,
Brotherly love is Philadelphia is a city of brotherly love.
Dave, I
What
didn't
was it
say your
again? What was it?
description
Say it
wasn't fucking effervescent. What I'm saying is I wouldn't have fucking got it. If we were on $10,000 pyramid, we would have lost.
I'm saying clearly you didn't get it because neither one of you got it.
We knew the answer.
We
You
knew ahead of
still
time.
didn't get it. It's like Jeopardy.
Dave, you said, here's my description for Philadelphia. You gave us the fucking answer. So we tried to make a comical podcast out of it. And then you're like, you didn't get it? You didn't get it? Listen, if you were Jewish right now, I'd get Hitler. I'd get it. Kill that one.
Adolfo Hitlerio.
I don't think you guys got it. Let me try it again
Scumbag.
louder.
Try it again. Try it again.
Yeah, go ahead. Louder into the microphone.
Brotherly love means AIDS.
Is it Pittsburgh?
The movie?
Pittsburgh, the movie. Pittsburgh, the musical. Oh,
Black
we're
and yellow,
working the
black and yellow,
steel.
black and yellow.
That's the color of my wife's shiner.
Which one?
Which wife or which shiner?
Which shiner? That's what I remember too. Remember how you said there was that joke that was like, "What do you say to a woman with two black eyes?" Well, when I first heard it, I was down south, and somebody from down south told me, and this is how they said it. They're like, "What do you say to a woman that has two black eyes?" And I'm like, "What?" And they're like, "Nothing. You already done told her twice.
Done told her. Oh, I like
You
that.
already done told her twice." I was like, "Oh, I get it. I get it. You
Yeah,
beat
but
your
she
wife."
didn't because she didn't understand done told her. Like,
No,
you
she
shouldn't get punched if you don't know broken English.
She got a broken jaw too. It's cool.
But I done told you. I'm like, I don't know what that means. Am I done or are you telling me?
No, some.
Why are you
Yeah,
done
that's-
telling me?
I
Are you
done
starting to
told
tell me or are you done telling me?
I done told you.
I done told. Yes, you're done
That's-
telling me. So
That's
stop
also
hitting. me.
like fixing. I'm fixing tea.
Might could.
I'm fixing.
Mike could.
I
love it.
reckon.
You know what?
Reckon is that's a great word. I need to use that more.
Reckon.
I loved when we went down to North Carolina. That was so much fun. Too bad we couldn't. Too bad the COVID happened.
Yeah, and also I'm not gonna do that festival again. That was weird.
What was the
Oh,
festival?
Oak City Comedy. They were great. It was their first year. They're nice, but it was just not worth going all the way down there. I didn't really get anything out of it. It was.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to shit on their festival, but I shouldn't be one of the better people in your festival. I shouldn't be. I shouldn't be. And a couple of years ago, I shouldn't be. And Brandon saw it. Like, all of a sudden, I was like headlining. When I got there, we were all sort of the same. And I'm like headlining things and being all this stuff. And like, it was a lot of locals, and then they were happy. And like, other comics came from some from New York, some other places. I ran into Tim McKeever, who I hadn't seen in a while, and he was up there too. But we were both like, we shouldn't be like some of the better ones here. But it was cool to do it. And my mom lives in Carolina, so we went up there. Brandon and Dion took the ride, and we got to go fucking hang out and be in Carolina. It was cool to do it.
Yeah, it was a cool.
But it
trip.
wasn't a lot of events going on. And we weren't staying close anyway because my mom lived like a couple hours away. And
Yeah.
Gotcha.
no, it wasn't in North Carolina. The Jews.
The
Didn't see any.
JOOZ. Oh, you also I wanted to say before I forget.
Trying to bring it back to that.
I'll put a link. I'll give you a link to a video
Good.
that this guy made a movie about a lot of like the different evidence and stuff. It's really compelling, really interesting stuff. So I advise you to check it out.
So I don't know if we proved
He's
anything.
Native American too. That's like the guy who did it. He's Native American, so it's not even like
Were they
he's
real?
racist, you know what I
Were
mean?
Native Americans real?
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of what the Civil War was about, was wiping out a lot of the different tribes, because the tribes actually fought on the side of the South. So, yeah, it's crazy because they knew if the North won that they'd be taken out, and that's exactly what happened. Once the North won, that the North beat the South, and they beat the Indians, and then they fought the Spanish and took Cuba and
Next
got the
week,
Philippines.
AIDS.
AIDS
Yeah,
and
AIDS
Indians.
and Indians.
2 weeks.
Indian.
Indians.
So this podcast is just going to be about Brandon proving that everything, none of these things exist.
Well, I
Upside
think
down
this
world.
po-
bro.
okay.
AIDS is not real.
You know what, Dave?
Indians never happened.
Here's what I think. I think all three of us right now, one at a time, should try to describe, because Brandon needs to write something up for the float thing anyway, so do I, what this podcast is. So what we've never done this, the three of us. Let's try to all say what we think it is. Dave, you go first. Be real. What do you think this podcast is?
I have no idea. I have
That's
no
a great
idea what this
description.
podcast.
Let me go first, then I'll go first.
No,
I'll
no,
go
Dave
first.
went first.
Okay.
Dave did it.
Oh, he has no idea. All right. I'll say it was basically Brandon trying to like describe something that nobody wants to talk about. Not like I don't even really want to talk about it. It's just amazing to me that everybody thinks one
Not
thing.
this one podcast. We're talking about the podcast overall.
Okay, the podcast. That's part of what
Podophiles, not this episode.
Podophiles. All right.
Well, clearly, I think like a big element of it is even in the name. Like it's got to be about uncomfortable things.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, what I'll tell you is what I envisioned was three of us don't give a shit what we talk about. We can make anything fun. And in this world right now, people are afraid to laugh at everything. We're going to bring up real shit, but make it funny, but also try to learn shit from each other too. I learned stuff from Brandon. We learned stuff from Dave. Even I threw out some things. Some of the things we're learning aren't the things you want to learn, but that's how the world works.
I learned from Dave,
that's how
too,
the world works.
Because when he said monger, I wasn't going to say salesman, but then when you said fish, I was like, that's right. And that I was,
knew.
And when I taught you about Chinese fire drills, we all learned. Like, we're all learning
that was a beautiful moment.
But I really
you think that's real? Maybe we should try and experiment with that. Maybe we should blow up somebody's house and see what happens.
I really do think what this podcast is about is us talking about whatever. And there's no, can we talk about this? Can we talk about that? No, there's none of that. And we're going to joke about it, but also explore it to the point where it can be okay to talk about. We're going to beat it to fucking death like Hitler did the Jews, so we can get there and make sure that everybody goes, okay, it's not a big deal if we just explore it, because discussion is better than just hatred. So if we just talk about things for a long time and have fun with it, at the end of the day, try to learn something or learn more and move on, that's what this is about. That's why it's Podophiles. It's fucked up on a podcast.
And if you really want to have fun with the Holocaust, check out the producers.
Of this show or the movie?
We have producers?
Yeah, it's me and Brandon. You're the only one who doesn't produce.
I love not pulling my weight. This is great.
Couldn't even sign on. Well, I was saying that before it started. I'm like, how the fuck? every week you have trouble getting on. Start earlier.
Well,
I'm in this magical world at 7:45 for an 8 o'clock. At 8:02, you're like, I can't do things.
Well, I didn't know that. Last time I was on early, it said, Pat's not, the meeting has not started.
I was running down the road because I have no car.
So I also wanted to add to what Pat said. That is pretty hilarious. But about what this podcast is, it's kind of like we were talking about earlier with Dave, when somebody kind of like throws an insult his way, he just keeps going. It's like judo. So we just take what you're not supposed to talk about and just ramp it up even more. We grab that, take the energy, and just ramp it up even more and make it just ridiculously silly.
Pat's laughing at judo. J-E-W-do.
I didn't even realize I was saying it.
Oh, we're talking about Jews for like that. And then you're like, here's judo.
Okay. I'm not. You shouldn't.
I knew I had to say it. My brain's like, say judo.
What do you use to make a bagel?
All right, that's it. End the episode quick. That was great.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. See you next week.